The Intercept story emphasizes the role that the war in Ukraine played in the United States' desire to remove Imran Khan. There's always been a lot of tension between the U.S. and Imran Khan. There's been suspicions that the United States government has spread that he had close relationships with the Taliban or with Muslim extremist forces inside Pakistan. There's always been these tensions, but clearly something elevated it significantly in early 2022. He was elected in 2018. Do you agree? And of course, the Intercept's saying this because that's what the memo reflects, that the anger on the part of the United States was due to Khan's neutrality in Ukraine. Do you think that that was the precipitating factor?
Well, the precipitating factor, it was an aggravating factor, but I don't think that was really the story, and it's not the core of the story. And, you know, it's the leak of this document, as remarkable as it is, doesn't advance the understanding on what was already public. Now we just have confirmation that there was indeed this document and it's absolutely real, which incidentally should be a little bit embarrassing for Biden and the regime more broadly in the United States, because think about how much they made of this pretty unsubstantiated notion of Russian meddling. They played up in order to undermine the legitimacy of Trump's victory in 2016. Now we learned that Biden administration basically said to Pakistan, get rid of your democratically elected leader or else. And these are the people complaining about meddling. But I don't think this is the full story. The issue with Khan, you know, the State Department individual, I believe his name is Donald Liu. At least the cable acknowledges that Donald Liu is just a messenger boy. You don't give an item like that unless you have approval from the highest levels. But I think we can all kind of understand Biden is not really the driving force of anything at this point. So the question is, who is really the driving force of this regime change? And I think I've identified the most likely culprit in Victoria Nuland, who is the boss of Donald Liu, is a very senior role in the department as the Undersecretary for Political Affairs. As you mentioned in your monologue, she has a decorated history as a regime change, color revolution professional, you know, going back to you and all the way up now to Niger, where she's trying to launch, I guess you could say, a counter color revolution in Niger to restore the Western aligned leader. But it gets deeper than that, because she actually has a specific history with Khan. You know, Khan has been involved in Pakistani politics for quite some time, and he was a very vocal and popular critic of Obama's illegal drone strike policies in Pakistan. And Victoria Nuland, going back then, had a senior State Department position where her job was to defend the very drone strike policies that Khan was so effectively criticizing, on top of the fact that Khan was one of the most powerful voices generally opposing the Iraq War and the War on Terror. It's probably relevant, at least, to mention that Victoria Nuland's husband, Reagan, was one of the intellectual architects of the Iraq War. So I think she has the motive, she has the means and the capability, and the aggravating factor of Khan's visit to Russia, which was the big deal at the moment, provided kind of the last straw or the pretext to do what ultimately they wanted to do anyway. On top, I should mention, of internal tensions that had already been brewing between Khan and the military and intelligence establishment in Pakistan. So the time was right. The U.S. officials always wanted Khan because he wasn't a reliable puppet like previous leaders, part of those established families in the military. His visit to Russia was just, you know, the icing on the cake, the cherry on top. It was served up on a silver platter. It was ready to go, and they did it, and they got another scalp, unfortunately.